Hey guys, it's Frankie T coming at you with another Marvel United video. Haven't really done these in a while, but figured I'd just get back up on here and start posting again. For starters, we're going to put Mordian blue on all the blue areas of Cyclops. This is actually McCraig blue in the new Citadel line. And I'm going to apologize for most of this video being out of focus or Cyclops not being even in the camera. Really trying to get used to making videos again, and I hope you have patience for the next upcoming videos as well. Here we go. For yellows, I tend to use Xandri dust. It's not going to be the very vibrant yellows or very saturated. It's going to be more of a desaturated yellow I'm going for. So I take the sand color and use that as the base coat, the yellow, so it's easier to build up to the color I want it to be, versus using yellow right over top of the darker gray, and that would take many coats to build up to the yellow, to a bright yellow. This way it's much easier for us, and we just use a lighter color. For the black here, you actually could skip this step right now and do it on the next step. You could paint on the inside there of the logos red first and then put the black on top. It might just make it easier for cleaning up, because that's all you need to do with this. Just put the red in there, then the black. See right here, I kind of made a mistake and I did Mephiston red after, which is okay. If you have a nice steady hand, you can get away with it, but me, I had to go back over it and clean it up. You're going to use this Mephiston red as well for his visor, so try to just you don't need to be super neat with it, just smear it right inside the visor. In the next step coming up later, you're going to use the gold and yellow to clean up the visor so that the red is no longer spewing over onto his visor. So as you can see here, I just kind of threw it on there. And then I'm going to take Bugman's Glow for his skin, because he has a fairer skin tone. This is a nice place to start. It gives you more interesting colors later on, so you don't just have the one base light color, which is going to be Kislev flesh or Cadian flesh tone. Both of those are used. But this way you have at least some definitions between the colors that you see on his face. Right here we're going to put his hair. He has brown hair, so we put Rhinox hide on it. And we should put that all over his head, get it into every crack. So you don't need to have this one thinned as much. You can get away with this one being a bit thicker, to maybe do one coat, two maybe. So here's what I was talking about earlier. I took some Flash Gits yellow and mixed it in with bright gold, and I made this like yellow metallic gold, and I just put that all over his visor and tried to stay out of his visor here, and try to stay out of the red areas. Just put that over top, do a couple coats, and you'll be good to go. And I think how it turns out in the end, I really liked it. So mixing yellow and the bright gold from Army Painter really worked out. You can do this with other colors too, but you end up getting like a desaturated version of the color. But since yellow's very bright, it ends up working pretty good in this situation. I really like his visor. Here I ended up taking some Nuln Oil, or I actually used Dark Tone by the Army Painter. I just put that all over the blue areas, and you want to make sure it's not pooling up too much, so any places you see there's too much of it, just kind of wipe it away. And sometimes you might need to get your brush wet and wipe it away as well. It really helps. Here I use that Sear from Cephia, and I put that all over the places that are going to be yellow, so the belts, the boots, the whatever it's called on his body, and even the visor. I think I put Strong Tone on his hair, And I end up using flesh wash as well for his face. I don't know why I didn't put that there. And yeah, I put the flesh wash on his face. As you can see, there's definitely been a wash put on it. I also put black on the inside of his mouth, just so I could have some separation when I put a white, the color white in there. Here I use McCraig blue again, or the Mordian blue, and I'm just going over some of the areas, all the blue areas, and trying to make sure I leave the old color, like the wash, in the recesses. So you can just go over that a bunch, hit all the back, the front, and you see here it got nice and light, and now you can see some separation all over the place. I actually mixed the Mordian blue with rust gray, so this way I still have the original base coat color I'm using, and I use rust gray as well to highlight. I don't go all the way up, and you can thin this down a good amount too, so that you can layer up nice, and then you get some nice transitions in between colors. It's I really like the way this blue ends up looking, and you just see me just going around here quickly coloring it all in. Cyclops is I think in the 90s he was like one of my favorite X-Men, but later on you just end up hating him, I feel like, in the newer comics. Here now, I think I took Fenrisian Gray and McCraig Blue again, and I combined them together. And again, I'm doing like more of like a edge highlight, or even not necessarily edge highlight, but where I think where I want to stand out the most, I put this color, as you can see here. I don't go completely down. I don't go into the recesses. It's fairly thin as well. I think I do a couple coats of this one as well. Usually you want to always make sure that your paints are really nice and thin, not running too much though. If you ever put too much water, you can just always dab it off in a paper towel before you put it on your model. That way you don't end up pooling into the places where you had spent time to build up and to have dark shadows. So here is what I was doing with the belts and everything. I took Flash Gets Yellow and Xandri Dust and kind of mixed those in. I think I favored more Xandri Dust than I did Flash Gets Yellow, and I went over that a few coats, and I really like the desaturated yellow that you get with this. Because of the way the sand colors mix with it, it really desaturates the yellow, and I only have one yellow, so this is what I ended up doing. I'm very sick right now as well. We tested positive for COVID, so I apologize for the nasally voice. But yeah, Cyclops has a lot of yellow and blue. You just go over nice and smooth. A couple coats will do you just fine. Look at that. Here, I end up just going the same thing. I think I do Ushanti Bone with some Flash Gets Yellow. So every time I'm just building up with the triad, I think of Ushanti, the Xandri Dust, and then I went up to Ushanti Bone with Flash Gets Yellow. I'm always mixing it in, so I'm slowly brightening up that yellow, and you'll see like how it changes it. It's again still desaturated yellow, but you can still see that it's really making it pop, especially right now compared to the rest of the sand yellow areas on his knee there, on his calf. You can see how yellow and how bright it's becoming. Not so vibrant, but it's definitely brighter. I really like the way this ends up turning out. But yeah, I haven't really been doing too much making videos lately. I've been, I don't know, kind of down. But I have been thinking about doing a lot, so I guess that's counts for something. I think I said it's been 10 months since I made my last video. The last thing I painted as well was a couple of Black Templars. I really like the way they turned out. I planned on painting a whole army of them, but you know, same thing happens where I start painting and lose focus on it, and I just give up kind of. But after painting this, I feel really motivated to continue painting the rest of the box. I can't wait to finish it, especially with the way Cyclops turned out. I really had a good time painting this one. So yeah, I'm just going over all the yellow places here, all the pockets and belts and straps on them, and just trying to stay out of the recesses and to make just to highlight all the yellows. After that, I take a Screaming Skull and Flash gets yellow, and I'm doing the same thing, but this time I am much more selective with where I'm putting it. I'm putting it more on the edges, in the center, or in the center of the edge of the places. And you'll see, like, I tend not to do exactly edge highlighting on it, and I wish you could see it better. Like, I'm gonna figure out the situation with this camera to try to stay in focus better. Maybe I'll put an X on the on my mat there to be able to see it. And honestly, any tips people have, it would be great too. I'm not too sure how to keep this thing in focus. Autofocus seems to be killing me. But yeah, just touch up all the areas, put in nice highlights on the tops of them, and just give it a nice yellow look to it. After that, I did end up taking some very watered down Flash Gets Yellow. You can't even see it on my brush, but trust me, it's there. What I end up doing is watering it down a lot to a nice glaze, and I just put that over top a couple times just to saturate, put some more yellow into it. I think that this works the best this way, because I find if I do it the other way, if I put yellow to begin with, the color just doesn't end up looking exactly right. So I end up just putting a little glaze over top with the yellow, and I really like the way it looks. You can do this, I think I only did it one time, but if you go over it multiple times, you'll just bring the saturation up, and your highlights and everything that you did before will still show through, and it'll look really good. The more you do it, the thinner your mixture, and the more you do it, the brighter and more saturated the yellow will become in the end. Here, I'm just going to go with Bugman's Glow again over top of the skin, just to just stay out of all the recesses as well. Same thing as everywhere else, but put Bugman's Glow right over top and go on the nose, try to stay out of all the recesses, and the cheekbones, and around his jaw. Just make sure, the biggest thing is to watch out, try not to hit the visor or the blue, because then you're really gonna have to go back over with those other colors to try to blend it all back in. So after that, we do Cadian Flesh Tone for like a second layer of the skin. You're gonna just put that all over again, it's pretty much all over it everywhere, but make sure it's thinned enough that some of the other layer does show through, and don't go completely down to where you had Bugman's Glow. Just have some of it showing through. That way you can have some little transitions in some of the previous colors showing from before. After that, you're just going to do Kislev Flesh, and again, like, you go do a couple layers of this. The first layer, go almost to the edge of the Cadian Flesh Tone, and then the second layer, maybe show a little less, so that you do end up getting the transitions with other colors. But I think Kislev Flesh is probably a good place to end with his skin. And you had nice little highlights. Just try to brighten it up. Just that way you have some different colors and some more interesting colors rather than one flat color. Now here, I just took Mephiston Red and I put it on the inside there. Again, you have to be very careful here, or else you're going to mess up your yellow visor, your golden yellow. After that, you can put some Evil Sun Scarlet on there as well, and put that across through the center. And then you can put one dot of maybe a white scar, or whichever white you have. just put a dot on the end there or somewhere you'd like. I end up putting on both sides for some reason, and it does not look good. But I finished it. This he's done. I'm not going to go back to him and change that. Maybe next time just one dot on one of the sides. That way it's like, now it looks like there's two light sources coming at him there. So Rhinox hide again for the hair, and try to leave in the recesses that you went with the, I think I said Agrax or shade or strong tone on there. Try to stay out of all the recesses and just layer it up. After that I use XV88 and I mix that with the Rhinox hide to start with the first layer of the highlight on his head. And then after you're done with the first layer, you can end up just going almost full XV88 to get nicer, brighter highlights in his hair. If you wanted, you can even use a sandy color mixed with that XV88 and to brighten it up even more. But I feel like this color worked out nice, and after that I end up taking some Rhinox hide and I water it down just a bit to blend the highlights in a bit better on his hair. After that I take Rhinox hide and for the dirt areas of the base plate, and then Lead Belcher for the metallics. Let it dry, and after that you could take some cold gray for the rocks on there. Take some XV88 and Ushanti Bone or Xandri Dust and do some quick dry brushing on the base plate just to bring up some of the colors. You could do the same thing with some metallics too if you wanted. Maybe get like a shining silver or some very bright silvers and do some edge highlights on there. And same thing with the rocks. You could also put some brighter grays or some whites mixed with gray. But I just left them as is. That's a very uninteresting base plate. It's really not the point of a model, so I didn't do too much with it. Just put some Nuln Oil and strong tone over the base plate after I did all the highlighting, and honestly I called it a day. I feel like just make sure it's not pooling up too much along the edges and you're good to go. And there you go. This is what you get when you finish painting Cyclops the way I painted him. It was fun to finish painting. Really nostalgic painting these 90s X-Men. Well, this is the first one I painted, so far it's been very nostalgic to paint them. I loved the TV show as a kid and the comics as well. I can't wait to finish painting the rest of the pack. I'm going to try to get another one out sometime this week. And sorry I won't take, I'll try not to take another 10 months to film another video. But anyways, here you have it, Cyclops from Marvel United.